You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from NVIDIA to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means it is time to wrap up our broadcast day on the network with the Hot Options Report. My name, of course, Mark Longo, coming at you from the aforementioned network, reminding you here, if you missed out on anything, the Options Insider Radio Network is what you want to be subscribed to on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And, of course, if you want to join our pro fun, win fabulous prizes, get awesome giveaways, live streams, all sorts of fun, exclusives, early access to content, the optionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go. Now, if you're listening to this show, chances are that you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees, whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades. Every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Again, the Hot Options Report brought to you by Public. Full disclosures in the podcast description. All right, let's get down to business for a little bit of the Hot Options Report action for Monday, October 6th. Listeners, let's kick it off in VIX land. Was it a hot day in VIX? The answer was no. The ADV backed down to around 750,000 contracts, which is where you could argue it should be this time of year, all things considered. VIX cash closing today right around 1637, so off about a quarter of a point, putting up a tick over 500,000 contracts today, 501,000 to be precise. And the hot option out there, it was the OX 16 puts going up 20,000 times for 30 cents. You like those, listeners? 16 puts, 30 cents. Let's keep on rolling out to SPY land, listeners. Was it a hot day in SPY land? The answer there also no. A little bit shy of 7.25 million contracts changing hands against an ADV of 8.4 million. So coming in a little light in SPY land as well. SPY closing today up a little over 0.33%. 671.61 is where it went out. And the hot option out there, 726,000 of the 672 calls, listeners. Average price for these, 37 cents. So you know the deal on those. If you bought those for that average price, you rode them through the close. Maybe a bit of a long day, but you had some opportunities intraday as we keep on rolling out to the SPX, listeners. Was it a hot day in the SPX? The answer also no. About 3.5 million contracts against an ADV of about 4.25. So fully 750,000 contracts light today. The S going out 67.40.28 in the hot option out there. The 67.5 calls going up 219,000 contracts today. Average price for these about $1.78. So once again, looks like you had a rough day if you were into those for those average prices and rode them through the close. As we keep on rolling out to small caps, listeners, also kind of light out there. 1.3 million contracts changing hands against an ADV of 1.6 million. Small caps going out 246.81, rallying about 0.5% today out there, listeners. And the hot option out there, almost 98,000 of the 247 puts. Again, 0-day contracts. These went up for about 26 cents, and they went out worth about 19. So not a terrible trade, all things considered, especially given some of the other trades we're going to profile here on the show. As we keep on rolling out to the Qs, another kind of light day, but closer to their ADV. They put up about 4.07 million contracts against an ADV of 4.25. So within spitting distance, the Qs going out 607.72, roaring to life, up 0.8% out there today. A lot of that on the backs of AMD. We'll get to that in a little bit. The hot option out there, 278,000 of these 607 puts. Once again, a little bit of downside lighting up the tape. Average price for these, 65 cents. You know the deal. Went out right around 607 and 3/4. So unfortunately not looking great for those puts if you bought them and held them all the way through the close. As we keep on rolling out to single names, was it a hot day in single name land? Well, you know, if you listened to the option block earlier today, the answer was a resounding yes. We were looking pretty hefty to break into our top 10 by midway through the session. Over 450,000 contracts, which of course is our threshold for a pretty active day. The rest of the session, second half of the session, didn't really deliver, so it only cost you about 605,000 contracts to break into the top 10 today. I guess us to our old pal Meta. Meta having a decent day, rallying about 5 handles, about 0.75%, closing 715.66. And the hot option out there today, listeners, 20,000 of these 7.5 calls, the 750 calls. Average price for these, $1.82 for these bad boys. So let me say that again. It's the 7.5 calls, 750 calls expiring at the end of this week, trading for about $1.82. Now the high today was only 716.88, so 750 by the end of this week. That's an interesting strike, listeners. If you have some Meta, maybe looking for a little bit of a covered call action, some yield, you could do worse than selling those for nearly $2 as we keep on rolling, listeners. Out to Intel. Intel coming in at number 9, 680,000 contracts on the tape. Intel giving up a little bit of the ghost, off about 1/4 point. Rallying almost to 39 today. 38.70 was the high out there today. And the hot option out there, it was the 40 calls. We've been talking about these for a while. These are the regular October monthlies. Changing hands 41,000 times today for an average price of $1.10 out there, listeners. So interesting stuff. Can we get to the 40 strike or at least kiss it before October expiration? Looks like some size paper is going up out there today saying yes. This has been a strike people have been fixated on for a while. We will keep an eye on it in Intel as we keep on rolling out to number 8. A newcomer breaking into the top 10 today. Always good to see that. This is Archer Aviation, Inc., ticker symbol ACHR, closing today $13.64, up $2.07 or nearly 18%. So a banger day out there. You see aviation in the name, that's popping hard, listeners. You know it's on the VTOL, the vertical takeoff and landing front, and that's exactly what Archer specializes in. Those have been hot with the meme crowd for a while, and it seems like Archer is on the list today, putting up 683,000 contracts. Now, maybe some of the paper lighting up today maybe won't give you a lot of optimism, though. The hot option out there in Archer Aviation today, listeners, 41,000 of the 12 puts expiring this week. Average price for these, 32 cents. So it looks like if past is prologue, folks are probably buying these and looking for a little bit of a fade to the downside. That worked out well in Oracle. Will it work out well in Archer? I guess we'll find out as the week progresses. As we keep on rolling out to number 7, listeners, it's the fruit company Apple. 721,000 contracts on the tape. Apple giving some back to the market gods today, selling off about $1.33, closing 256.69, off about 0.5%. The hot option out there, listeners, 66,000 of the 260 calls. So we're still tilting to the upside here, listeners. Average price for these about $1.77. So can we get to 260 by the end of the week? We shall find out, listeners, as we keep on rolling out to SoFi, number 6, putting up exactly 750,000 contracts today. SoFi rallying $1.12 or about almost 4.5%. Again, closing $26.36. So getting back some of what they've given up over the past month, listeners. And the hot option out there in SoFi, again, we're going to the upside, this time out to November, though. A rare bit of longer-term action on the hot option report today. It's 45,000 of the November 30 calls. Average price for these, $1.71. So 30 by November expiration, listeners, plus $1.71 on top of that. Can SoFi do it? If you're buying these, you certainly hope so. As we keep on rolling to number 5, it's the Amazonian, 788,000 contracts on the tape today, listeners. Amazon, not much of a day, up about $1.30 or about 0.2%. Had a little bit wider range than that, a little over $5. But that said, Amazon, the hot option out there today, it was the 225 calls, going up 50,000 times for an average price of $1.32 out there, listeners. And again, Amazon closing a little bit shy of 221, 220.90. So 225s, you got a little bit of a ways to go, plus a $1.32. Can we get there by the end of the week, listeners? We shall see as we keep on rolling to number 4. This one roaring back to life. It's our old pal Open. Even earlier today, they were still languishing around the 8.25 level or so. Coming into the end of the day today, now Open closing $9.29, popping hard, popping another $1.18 or nearly 15% today. So Open back to life. Make some of these folks lighting up. The 9 calls certainly feel a lot better. 117,000, the 9 calls going up. Average price for these, 48 cents. So Open needs to get in gear, listeners. That said, we did get there earlier today. Got as high as $9.69, so fully 40 cents above where it closed. So if you're loading up on these for the average price of around 50 cents, you certainly need Open to keep its foot on the gas throughout the rest of the week here, listeners, as we keep on rolling to number 3. Yes, I said number 3. It's NVIDIA. Been a while since we've seen NVIDIA all the way down at the number 3 spot. You know something funky is afoot. When NVIDIA's at number 3, listeners, putting up 1.9 million contracts, so also a pretty light day for NVIDIA. We easily see NVIDIA do 2x that on many days, so a light day out there. A hot option such as it was, 109,000 of the 187.5 calls. Average price for these about $2.60. Listeners, and NVIDIA closing today 185.51, off about $2.11, or a little over 1%. So a rare day with some red on the screen for NVIDIA as we keep on rolling to number 2. This one's been all over the place lately. It's our old pal Tesla. Yes, Tesla. All the way down at number 2. What could be number 1? Hint, hint, I mentioned it earlier. Tesla, 1.98 million contracts on the tape today. Tesla closing 453.25, just roaring back to life, gaining nearly 23.5 handles, or about 5.5%. So gaining back pretty much everything that it lost last week. So a good day for the Tesla bulls out there. And the hot option out there, this was a strike that would have seemed insane just a week ago. The 450s, they were lighting it up today to the tune of 84,000 contracts out there today, listeners. Average price for these, $11.16. So you know the deal. Even though we closed at 453.25, if you're buying these, you got to pay off $11.16. So you really need Tesla to run. It closed pretty close to its high today. So does it have enough oomph left to get to 461.16 by the end of this week, or at least close enough for you to sell these? We shall find out, listeners. And speaking of finding things out, let's find out what topped the list today. What kicked NVIDIA and Tesla to the curb today? You can probably guess if you read the headlines. It was AMD, listeners. Just a wild day for AMD. OpenAI is really just getting in bed with everybody these days. AMD, the latest to announce an arrangement, a deal with OpenAI out there, and that's really lifting the stock. 2.48 million contracts lighting it up out there today, listeners. AMD rallying nearly 40 handles, $39 to $203.71, up nearly 24%. Got as high intraday as $226.71. Wild stuff out there. That said, we saw some folks who were savvy fading a lot of these big pops recently in Oracle and others. We talked about it just earlier today in the top 10. Is that the case out there in AMD as well? It seems like the answer was yes. The hot option out there on a day when AMD's putting up 2.5 million contracts almost. 95,000 of the par puts, the 200 puts. Average price for these, $4.12. So if you think this little bit of a run was overdone, maybe you like these out here. Of course, then again, you bought these back when AMD was around 226 already earlier today. You probably had a decent trade. They're probably going for a little bit more than that right now with AMD hovering around the par strike. But still, interesting to see. If past is prologue, folks are buying these. They're looking for a little bit of a retreat here in AMD. Maybe thinking this AI spike is a bit overdone. All right, that's going to do it for your hot option report for Monday, October 6th. Join us back on the network tomorrow, where our pro folks get access to a whole bunch of goodies, including a great pro Q&A with our good buddy, Mr. Nick Howard from Quick Strike, talking a lot of options analytics and vol and skew and all sorts of good stuff. So you want to dive deep into that. It's always a good time. Check it out on the pro, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Also get you access to options oddities every week, live streams, giveaways, early access to a lot of great content, like a lot of Brian's OPRs, Options Playbook Radios. He's been posting a lot of actionable trades lately. You folks in the pro are getting them early. And of course, giveaways. Congrats to Madam Gigi, who took home the September Pro Trading Crate. Get your name in the hat to win the October crate. Only one place to do it. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go. Then we'll see you back here tomorrow after the closing bell. Another episode of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.